If you build cloud applications, you know that development projects can be expensive and time-consuming. With Trillo Workbench, you can build the same cloud applications while writing 80% less code. This saves you an incredible amount of time and money. Let's explore how Trillo Workbench can help you complete cloud applications ahead of schedule and under budget. Large software projects often require a team of engineers. A typical application build may require design, architecture, front-end, application server, and UI development, as well as QA functions. This requires cloud architects, software architects, platform engineers, DevOps, DBAs, and security experts, all of whom are hard to find. Because of this, cloud applications can be complex, time-consuming, and expensive to build. By incorporating Trillo Workbench into your development strategy, your applications take less time to build, are more secure, and come in under budget. So how does Trillo Workbench do this? Trillo Workbench provides much of the backend services and infrastructure needed to develop a cloud application, including cloud architecture, cloud configuration, core application platform services, security, scalability, reliability, and performance. All of this is part of the Trillo Workbench runtime engine. Think of Trillo Workbench as an application platform that sits on top of your cloud infrastructure and allows you to completely build and customize your application's functionality. When developing a typical application, 20% of your resources go toward the application code itself. However, 80% of your efforts go toward core platform services, cloud architecture, security, performance, and reliability. Workbench can save you from writing up to 80% of this needed code by providing all the core services and infrastructure your application requires. You simply write the app code, logic, and workflows, and Workbench configures and manages your entire backend services and cloud infrastructure for you. Most applications need access to databases, file management, user authentication, job scheduling, and more. Trillo Workbench provides all these common cloud functions and services out of the box. For example, instead of your team setting up a database server and writing the backend code to access it, Workbench does this for you. It's the same with file storage, user authentication, and the other infrastructure services your application needs. You simply supply Workbench with the appropriate metadata for these services, and Workbench configures and manages all the applicable cloud services for you. It creates APIs for your application to access these services, and then acts as an intermediary between your front-end code and your back-end cloud infrastructure. Building an application with Trillo Workbench starts with the Workbench web interface. In this UI, you will enter metadata about your application. Database schemas are created, user roles and access are configured, storage buckets are defined, and so on. Using your favorite IDE or the built-in code editor in Workbench, you create your application logic using Java or Python, and additional programming languages will be added soon. Workbench turns your application code into serverless functions. Within Workbench, you will also create workflows and schedule jobs and tasks for your application. Trillo Workbench will create APIs from these functions and services. Access to databases, file management, logs, and more is provided by these Workbench-created APIs. You simply write your application code to use these APIs. Trillo Workbench manages all the infrastructure on the back end for you. All of the cloud infrastructure is completely abstracted away, and you don't need to worry about it at all. You might be wondering what type of infrastructure Trillo Workbench itself uses to make all of this happen. Workbench runs on a Kubernetes cluster. Your code and logic functions and internal services all run as microservices within the Workbench cluster, with the ability to automatically scale as needed. This provides your application with an infrastructure that offers scalability, performance, reliability, and security. Many companies are using Workbench right now for their large production applications. As you can see, your developers and admins have access to the Trillo Workbench UI for configuration, settings, and uploading code. You can set up custom UIs for your users. On the back end, Workbench interfaces directly with the necessary cloud infrastructure needed for your application. Let's talk about the specific services and functionality that Trillo Workbench provides to your application. Although not an exhaustive list, here are some of the main services provided by Trillo Workbench. Metadata service. Application metadata such as database schemas, configuration files, SQL query templates, schedules, and workflow definitions. Data service. creates, alters, and operates on the database tables based on meta properties specified for each table and its columns. Using meta properties, it imposes access control rules. For example, a certain role can access a certain column. It provides CRUD, batch operations, and query APIs. File service. File service provides functionality analogous to Dropbox, using cloud buckets for uploading, downloading, and sharing files. Additionally, it provides high availability SFTP and APIs for managing files and folders. Doc service. Doc service is similar to the file service, but for files that can be considered documents. The major difference is that it provides workflows to process documents using GenAI and document AI processors for extracting structured data. Function service. Function service dynamically compiles and executes plugin code to create serverless functions that are accessible via APIs. In a production environment, it uses precompiled jar files. Workflow service. Executes functions in the background as tasks or workflows consisting of multiple steps. Developers can define workflows graphically. Alternatively, a function can implement a workflow by controlling the execution of multiple steps. Each step, in turn, is a function. Scheduling service schedules a function or workflow for the periodic execution. Firebase notification. Workbench provides out-of-the-box integration with Firebase notification for applications requiring a real-time push to a UI. Authentication and access control. Trillo Workbench integrates with enterprise identity providers using OIDC and SAML. In addition, it provides a built-in authentication and user management system. Trillo Workbench provides a powerful access control system using roles, groups, and rules. It extends to records and field levels without compromising performance. Audit logging. Audit logging is a powerful feature of Trillo Workbench. It tracks Workbench activities performed by a client program or backend tasks. Standardizing audit log records provides easy search and filtering of a particular activity. It serves multiple purposes: troubleshooting, operations management, and compliance. API gateway. A client can access Trillo Workbench services using a built-in API gateway. The API gateway is OAuth 2.0 compliant. Git integration. Trillo Workbench uses a database for storing metadata. It retains multiple versions of metadata. It also integrates with a Git repository, so an admin can push metadata and plugin code to a Git repo. A Workbench instance running in a different environment can also pull code from Git. Thus, a typical Trillo Workbench deployment uses Git for managing development from QA to production code deployment. Whether you're building a POC or a full-blown production application, Trillo Workbench is the fastest, least expensive way to build and deploy scalable, secure, and robust cloud applications. You can start with a rapid proof of concept and incrementally convert it to a fully deployed application. We'd love to talk to you about how Trillo Workbench can help you build applications. Please contact us for a demonstration of Trillo Workbench or to find out more information.